Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I just finished my final run of the GameStop promotion. Just really trying to take advantage because I know once this promotion's over, I'm probably not really going to be buying as many retro games or video games, period, unless it's a solid deal. So I'm going to go over everything that I picked up on this final run with you, and also tell you about a couple rare, or really just one major rare find that I got along the way. So we're going to start off with this controller here. So I did find a 6-button Sega Genesis controller, which I actually needed for my Sega CD. I only have one 6-button controller that I think I currently use with it, and I definitely wanted to get a second one just for in the event or in the times where someone else might want to play with me, or just if my original 6-button controller just breaks down. It's always good to have extra. So they happen to have an extra 6-button controller at the store, so I went ahead and picked this up. And again, everything that I picked up in this last run wound up being 130 bucks. So let's go through it. So that 130 included that controller. Then first up, we have a couple PS4 games. So first one was Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. I've actually had Dragon's Dogma in my Switch collection, sold that copy, and I want to say I think I had a version of this game in my PS4 collection before, but sold that as well. I'm always down for like an action adventure Capcom game, whether it's on the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 4. So this was one that I went ahead and snagged. I also picked up the Devil May Cry HD collection. Now I do have the HD collection on the PlayStation 3, but I think I'm actually going to be selling that copy since I found this very clean copy on the PlayStation 4. Better graphics. I'm assuming that it will run and play better on the PlayStation 4. So kind of like a trade up. I'll sell that version and keep this version. So this is another PlayStation 4 game that was added. Then they had the Mega Man Legacy Collection Volume 2, which includes the Mega Man 7, 8, 9, and 10 games. So I was glad to actually see that they had this there. I'm always down for like some retro action, especially when it's a collection type of game. And so went ahead and added this one as well. So another pretty good find. Then they had this game, which honestly I'd seen a number of times and was always tempted to pick up, but never did. And that was Metal Gear Rising: Vengeance. Now, I was always kind of on the fence about this game because I had never really looked into it and I wasn't sure if it was like a first-person shooter or not. But when I actually looked at the gameplay footage, this is actually like a third-person like action adventure slash like hack and slash style game. At least that's what the footage looked like. So this was actually really cool to find. It was in really good condition. It was complete as well. Really good condition, and I'm glad I was able to actually add this one to my PS3 collection. This is one that I actually want to dive into. It looks really sick. It really does look sick. Metal Gear Rising: Vengeance. So this is one that I was actually glad to find and add to the collection. Then, surprisingly enough, I ran into an actual PlayStation 1 game. So this is the Final Fantasy Origins collection, which has Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 2 on it. There is a crack in the disc, but the manual is actually in really good condition. So is the disc. I was actually glad to kind of snag this one up as part of the promo. Really good find. I don't often run into like PlayStation 1 games that I'm interested in. And these Final Fantasy games, some of them can, like you always see them floating around. Like Final Fantasy Tactics, you usually see Final Fantasy 7. But I don't often see Final Fantasy Origins. So was really glad to be able to pick this up under the promo and get it for $9.50. So I was glad about that. Then they also had this copy of Yoshi Island. Now, the reason why this one really stood out to me and I wanted to add it to the collection was because I actually had a copy of Yoshi's Island, but I had the international version. So for those of you who aren't familiar, a lot of these like Nintendo 3DS games, they come in like this international version. And usually that version's a little bit cheaper for whatever reason. This is the genuine North American version of Yoshi's Island that they had for the 3DS, the new Yoshi's Island. So I was glad to actually be able to find this one. Again, not bad for $9.50. I felt like it was a clean pickup. It was complete, so added this one in there. I'm a fan of the Paper Mario games. I think I have almost all of them. The only one that I'm missing is actually the original Paper Mario on the N64, but I think I have all the other ones. I have Thousand Year Door. I have the one for the Wii U and the Wii. And so adding the one for the 3DS was actually pretty cool. Sticker Star, I had it actually, and I feel like I traded this one away a while back. But again, not a bad pickup for $9.50. Another complete game, an American version, not that international version. So I was glad to add that. Then had this copy of Super Street Fighter 4. Now, I know this isn't like super rare. Really, none of these games are super rare or anything like that. But I just felt like they were clean, solid pickups for the collection. This was actually really complete. It did include the lenticular slipcover. It does have the game and the manual inside there. Really good pickup, in my opinion. And not one that I'm mad to actually have on the 3DS. I don't know if I want to hook up an entire like system, like go and hook up like my 360 or my PlayStation 3 to play Super Street Fighter 4, but I would probably pop this into a 3DS and play this a little bit more just because it's easier to like boot up and get going. So this was a clean pickup to find it in this complete condition. Another one that I was glad to add. And then last but not least, the one that I was super shocked to find and the sleeper of them all, Okamiden on the Nintendo DS. Now this one is actually just chilling in the drawer, and I actually caught it because when the employee was looking for a in the drawer for a game that I actually had the case for, when they opened the drawer, I actually happened to peek my head in and I saw a bunch of stuff in there. So much more stuff that I could have picked up, but I really was just looking for stuff that was like collection worthy. And so when my eyes caught this copy of Okamiden, I pretty much asked them, I was like, hey, can I take a look at that? Because it looked really good. It's a very clean copy in like new condition. It does have the manual, and yes, my hands are ashy because whenever I go outside, it's one of the first things I do when I come back in is wash my hands. But it does come with the manual, so Okamiden is in there. The cart is in really good condition. Was definitely glad to find this. For those of you who don't know, ever since they announced the sequel to Okami, a lot of the Okami games did go up in price. Now, the PS4 version of Okami, the Okami HD Remix, that game skyrocketed for like a day and a half. It was going for like 150 at one point, but then I think it dropped back down to earth, and it's probably somewhere around 50 bucks or so for that version. Okamiden though has always been a little bit more on the pricey side for the DS, but once they announced the sequel, the price for Okamiden also skyrocketed as well. So I think new versions of this game are well above 120 bucks, but if you have it complete in box used, I've seen these listed somewhere around 100, 110. So this one was actually a really sweet find. Was glad to actually find this out in the wild. I actually have a copy of Okamiden. It's sealed. I've never broken the seal on it, just because I was like in my mind, I was like, I'll get to that. I'll break the seal when I get to it in my backlog. But it's cool to actually have this version that's already open and available to play. It was definitely just really cool to see. So again, I mean, just finding all of these games, everything that you see here out in the wild for 130 bucks. I thought that this was a really clean pickup, a really solid afternoon. For 130, you really can't beat it. A lot of really good stuff, a lot of collection worthy stuff. And then you guys have already seen some of the other stuff that was picked up and added to the collection. Wind Waker, Splatterhouse. You see all these other games here. So the only games that were not included in the promotion, honestly, were Splatterhouse, Wind Waker, and Okamiden. Everything else was pretty much $10. Sorry, yeah, everything else was pretty much $10 and under that you see here. And you can't really beat it. Hopefully, if they run another promo, it'll be the buy two, get one. And then you can really do some damage on that one as well. But let me know if you guys had a chance to go out and take advantage of the last day of the promo. Let me know if you found anything worth picking up, and I'll catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.